Alright, so you want to make pictures, but you don't have a big, fancy, expensive camera. You don't own one. You don't want to buy one. They're too expensive. Way too expensive. But you still want to make good pictures. You want to still capture your holiday, your trip, your kids, your dog. So what you gonna do then? You get this very powerful tool that you're carrying with you all day long, 365 days a year, with you in your pocket. Your phone. These little things are so powerful these days. They're so powerful you don't sometimes even notice if it's a picture taken with a phone or with a big ass camera. Well, they're not there yet, but they're coming very, very close. I want to share some tips that you can use to make better pictures with your phone, just with your phone. Right, so the first one is turn on your grid. Once you make a photo, you know you are right in the middle. Your horizontal is right. It's all lining up together. And that's what you need, because there's nothing worse than a picture that is slightly off. It's really annoying. What's also very helpful if you're taking a picture or a video is tapping on the screen on different places. Tapping on the screen, if you tap on a different place, then you see the picture is going maybe darker or maybe lighter, and this also depends of course on your preferences, what you like the most. But it creates a different image, because sometimes if you're against a very bright sun, the image is going to be very light. But if you tap on a different place on the screen, you can see the image is going darker and the sun is not that white anymore. And this can be very helpful to create a beautiful image, because you don't want this picture to be all white or overlighted by the sun. And this is something a lot of people I think don't know about, but can make a very big difference in your picture or your video. Alright, so another tip that you can use to make better pictures with your phone is to sometimes turn it around. Turn it like this, turn it like that, turn it like this, and also tilt it a little bit. So just do it like this, do it like this, like that, like that. You get a different composition, and composition can be very powerful when making a good picture. That's something people overlook, because most of the time it's easy to film or shoot things like this because it's easy. But you don't want to make it easy, you want to make it beautiful. And if you want to make it beautiful, you have to get out of that comfort zone, right? So tilt your phone in different angles. You get also different light on your lenses. So that also makes a big, big difference. Another tip is to play around with the settings inside your camera settings. You can play around with the lighting, the aperture, you can shoot RAW. I'm going to talk about that a little bit more. Also, you can shoot photo, you can shoot portrait, you can shoot panorama, you can shoot slow motion if you're shooting video, time lapse, also fun to do. So you have all these settings here, and it's fun to play around with because you get different effects and different results. That's really fun. You have to play around what suits your photo the best, but play around with it and see what you like, of course. Then another tip is to play around with the zoom. So you have on the iPhone, at least, you have 0.5 zoom, so you're really zoomed out, but you get a little bit of a fisheye, which can be used to capture a lot from a room. If you're in small spaces, then it might be useful to use that 0.5 lens, because then you're zoomed out and you get more of the whole room captured. But it also makes your arms really long and your legs, and so be careful with that, with putting people on that with that kind of zoomed out lens. That's my dog barking.
Er staat iemand bij de voordeur.
God damn it. Alright, I think my girlfriend's shoes just got delivered. Yeah, probably it. Alright. Alright, so back to the video. Alright. So I was saying, use different zooms. So you have different lenses on here, and one of them is also to zoom in. So you can really zoom in on some subjects, but also really zoom out, which is very powerful. You can use for landscape, you have a more wide field. But for maybe portraits or macro photography, it's very used. If you want to get really nice close-ups, you can also do that. But also again, when you do that, when you choose a different lens, try different angles and get really close and see how close you can get and it still focuses, because you have a point where the camera cannot focus anymore, because then you're too close. But with the iPhone you can get very close to your subject and you still get a sharp image. So that's really cool. Another thing that I mentioned before is you can shoot RAW on your phone. And what I mean with RAW is making a picture without baking all the lighting into the picture itself. And what does this mean, or what's it doing for you? If you make a picture and you want to do the editing afterwards in Lightroom or Photoshop, then you have way more controls, because you can edit anything. You can edit all the highlights, the colors, the texture. It's much more easier, because if you shoot on JPEG, what the most cameras do, also the iPhone, it shoots on a format that's everything is baked in, because when you shoot on your phone, artificial intelligence decides for you what kind of light suits that project. So that picture, if you take a picture of a flower, you point your camera off your phone on that flower, and the artificial intelligence decides for you what the lighting should be. And most of the time it's quite okay, but also a lot of times it's not that okay. And then you can still take the picture, but if you want to edit it afterwards, then you have a lot less control over the lighting. So that's very important to think about when you're taking photos with your phone. But keep in mind, if you make raw pictures on your phone, it's gonna take up a lot of storage of your phone, because raw files are very large. So keep that in mind. If you have limited space, just delete something from your phone or just shoot in JPEG, whatever you want. But it's very good for your after editing to shoot everything in RAW. Also, something to keep in mind when you're shooting an object or a person is to place them in the rule of thirds. Using the rule of thirds is when you place an object or a person not right straight in the middle, but in the right or the left side of the picture. And this is much more appealing for the eye. You would say that right in the middle grabs your attention immediately, but it's much more appealing for the eye if you place it in the left corner or in the right corner, and it makes a real difference. Play around with it, but also this makes a real big difference. Look it up on Google, the rule of thirds. There are a lot of things to find about it, and it's really a helpful thing. Alright, so another tip is when you're shooting from below or from above. And this makes a real big difference in how you are seeing the object or the person or the thing you're shooting. Because if you're shooting from below, you have the feeling the person or the thing is bigger. It's much more powerful. If you're shooting a person and you want to capture their strength, you don't want to capture them from above, because from above they look smaller. Alright, thanks for watching, and if you find these tips helpful, please share them with a colleague, a friend, your neighbor, your boyfriend, your girlfriend. It doesn't matter, just share it. It helps me, it helps you. It's a win-win situation, so please do, and see you in the next one.